Good. Check it. Make sure it reads. Hello, Mr. Ruiz. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Thanks. We can hear you. Good.
Mr. Ruiz, this is Ashley Berg. I just wanted to let you know that President Close is running 5 minutes late, so we're going to be a few more minutes before we start.
Okay, sounds good.
Are we all ready to go? I'll just say a quick thing. Good morning, everyone. Apologize for my tardiness. Quick public service announcement, which may or may not be related to I am late, but don't speed. We will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Morning again, everyone. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We will do the roll call and then some housekeeping.
President Close. Vice President Montier.
Here.
Superintendent Designee Miller.
Here.
Miss Barr. Dr. Crockett.
Here.
Miss Foster.
Here.
Mr. Ruiz.
Here.
Mr. Stratton. Mr. Swanson.
Here.
President Close, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And I just realized that we did the roll call after the housekeeping. We should have done it after, but neither here nor there. A little housekeeping regarding this hybrid meeting, virtual / in person. We anticipate that Member Ruiz will be virtual. He is. Most board members are participating in person. For board members that are in person, there are microphones directly in front of you. When they are red, the mic is not live. Please click on the mic when you want to talk. The mic will turn green and then you can speak. Once you're done speaking, please push the mic again so that it turns red. For board members participating via Zoom, please stay on mute. If you would like to speak, please push the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak. This will help me to know that you would like to say something, and then I will make sure you have an opportunity to speak. For charters or applicants on the agenda that are participating via Zoom, please stay muted until your item is called. Once your item is called, board staff will introduce the item, and then I will call on you to address the board. At that time, you may unmute yourself. For charters or applicants on the agenda participating in person, once your item is called, board staff will provide a brief introduction and answer any questions board members may have for staff. Then I will request that representatives for the charter come up to the podium to address the board. We did roll call. Superintendent's report.
Good morning, President Close and members. Charter community, good to see you. We have, to start our superintendent's report, a video I'm hopeful we can play, and I appreciate Daniel and Ms. Berg for making that happen overnight. Thank you again, you guys, for making that media work this morning. As stated in the video, the competition still remains open, so there's time for your schools to participate and have your students send their submissions in by the end of month on December 31st. Be nice if we could start every meeting with some cute challenge charter school kiddos. An additional message this month sent directly from the superintendent. As many of you know, I am a champion of charter schools and have fought to protect and expand quality options for kids throughout my career. I killed a bill intended to limit charter school growth when serving in the legislature. And when I first left office as state superintendent, Arizona had the highest percentage of charter school students in the nation. I remain dedicated to protecting these students and their opportunities and believe one of the biggest current threats to the continued viability of our schools is the overreach of mandates and duplicative and unproductive regulatory processes. Operational oversight should have a priority of ensuring student safety and academic progress. When it encroaches beyond that, it steals time and resources from the classroom and has the potential of stifling innovation. In Arizona, based on the incredible success of our charter schools and the chartering legislation, the State Board for Charter Schools is in a fortunate position and has the unique opportunity to allow excellence to drive accountability as it drives the market. This week, I met with board leadership and staff and discussed this idea of a tiered approach. I also provided related feedback gained from our focus groups in the field. Schools should not fear or have negative consequences for the collection of information and documents needed to comply with state and federal reporting and program implementation to serve students. For example, the enrollment-related Arizona Revised Statute 15184F regarding limiting admission should not be cited in connection to information that must be collected to enroll a student into ADE Arizona EDS or any student information or SIS software of the school. To assign such findings contributes to a false narrative that charter schools limit admission to students and does not put their best interests first by preventing schools from getting all needed information to serve them appropriately on day one. As discussed in my October report and released in the 2023 National Charter School Study 3 by the Stanford University Credo, unlike a common perception to the contrary, charter schools consistently enroll students who are disproportionately lower achieving as compared to other public schools. The truth is that underserved children are not only being accepted into, but excelling at charter schools. Black and Hispanic students in charter schools advance more than their traditional public school peers in large margins in both math and reading, as identified in the Credo report. Also, English language learners and students in poverty both showed to have stronger growth in charter schools as well. I look forward to ensuring State Charter Board and ADE continue to hold our charter schools to the highest standard, working collaboratively to remove unnecessary bureaucracy that does not elevate their mission to serve their communities or their purpose to be independent choices for families governed by their local needs and their performance. That concludes the superintendent's December report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Executive Director's report. Ashley.
Thank you, President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and board members. This is actually a really short update for you because we do not have any ongoing legal matters, which I'm very happy to report that. But just as an update and similar to what I do every month is to report to you what either President Close has approved or what I have approved as far as amendment requests or closures. As of right now, we have President Close has not approved any surrenders. There have been no Arizona Online Instruction Amendment requests that I have approved. And in November, I did approve 31 amendment requests, and these are more technical amendment requests, so technical changes to the charter contract. And then also in November, our CSA team has been doing quite a few reviews. They completed 9 interval reviews and did 21 school visits in the month of November. And with that, that is all I have to report.
Thank you, Ashley. Excuse me. Moving on to item F, call to the public. We received 1 written public comment, which was posted with the board materials. Additionally, we have 3 requests to speak related to item I. However, these individuals will be joining the applicant team to speak with them and answer questions regarding the application package. Therefore, there are no requests to speak or persons wanting to speak under the call to the public. So moving on to item G, consent agenda. Are there any questions from board? comments?
Nope. You ready for me?
Mhm.
Yes. This is Jessica. I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve, excuse me. I'm a little ahead of myself. Sorry about that. The consent agenda as presented.
There's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We'll give it to Jim. All right, go ahead and take the vote, please. Thank
Vice President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Close.
you. Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. Next item up is item H, discussion and possible action on charter holder status change and ownership amendment request from Phoenix Education Management LLC. Shannon will be presenting.
Good morning. President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and board members. Phoenix Education Management LLC has submitted a charter holder status change in ownership amendment request. Phoenix Education Management LLC has resolved to transfer its charter contract to a nonprofit entity specific to the school operated under the contract, which currently serves as the sole member of the existing charter holder entity. The request was accompanied by a charter contract transfer agreement dated September 15th of 2023. The purpose of the transition is to allow the charter holder to apply for grant and donation funds not available to a for-profit entity, which will enable the school to better serve its students. Phoenix Education Management LLC has accounted for the transition of all systems, data, and reporting in the signed agreement that accompanied the amendment. And I am available for questions if you have them.
Any questions from the board? Okay. If there are none, as their representative from the charter, excuse me.
Morning. Hi, I'm Principal Angela West. Good morning, President Close and members of the board. I'm also accompanied by our instructional coach, Kristen Johnson, and we're available for any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you. Good morning. Any questions?
Just out of curiosity, do you have any particular grants that you're looking to apply for?
The ASBCS grant is a main one that we're looking for, Title I, Title III as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? There are none.
Everything seems pretty straightforward.
Yes, thank you.
Why you don't have too many questions.
Thank you.
This is Jessica. I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the charter holder status amendment request to change the ownership of the contract held by Phoenix Education Management LLC to the nonprofit entity Pioneer Technology and Arts Academy of Arizona.
Thank you. There is a motion. Is there a second? Dr.
Second.
Crockett, you get it.
Vice
Aye.
President Montier,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, item I. Discussion of possible action on a new charter application package for Arizona for Online Instruction, Inc. Shannon, who will be presenting again. Let's see, Shannon will read an introduction about the new charter application process, and then we'll introduce the application.
First, board staff would like to provide some background information about the application cycle. At its February meeting, the board approved the current application for a new charter. Each year, the board approves updated expectations and criteria for applicants. In March and April, board staff provided training for applicants to outline the process, changes for the cycle, and answer any questions about the criteria and expectations of each of the required plans. Applicants were required to submit applications by a deadline of May 31st, 2023. The applicant before you today has likely been working on its application for a year or more. After submission, application packages were reviewed by board staff for administrative completeness, which includes ensuring that all materials are present and ready for review and that the application fee has been submitted. After the administrative review, applications are forwarded to the Technical Review Panel, or the TRP, to undergo the substantive review of the application package. Individuals for the Technical Review Panel are recruited from across the country. Applicants for the TRP submit resumes and written responses to questions related to TRP qualifications. Board staff reviews these resumes and written responses and chooses top candidates with expertise in charter school business, operations, and academics. Once these individuals are chosen, teams of 3 are formed to review applications. Board staff strives to ensure that the experience on these teams is well balanced in each of the 3 areas that were previously mentioned. Additionally, board staff attempts to assign teams to applications in which they may have greater expertise. For example, if an application indicates that it will serve an alternative population as defined by the Arizona Department of Education, we try to assign the application to a team with experience and expertise with that population or chosen model. Additionally, applications and team members are reviewed to ensure that any potential conflicts are avoided. For example, if an applicant intends to open in a certain city, the team is comprised of individuals that do not have charters in that city or surrounding areas and are not currently looking to expand to that area. These processes help to ensure that each team reviewing an application is doing so objectively and without conflict. The board's criteria for substantive completeness is defined in the publicly released new charter application instructions. Using rubrics, the TRP reviews the application packages against the criteria set by the board, first through independent individual reviews, then through a consensus process that includes all 3 team members. Board staff sits in on the consensus calls to clarify statutes, rules, and criteria, and to ensure an understanding of the TRP's discussions and rationale for their determined ratings. For the applicant before you today, which intends to operate with an AOI, the AOI components were forwarded to Rio Salado for their review. The criteria used by Rio Salado are in the application instructions and are consistent with the criteria used to evaluate AOI packages for existing charters in the portfolio. After this initial review, the completed rubrics are released to the applicants, and they are given the opportunity to revise and resubmit their application packages based on the feedback provided by the TRP and Rio Salado, if applicable, in the rubric. During the time between the release of the rubric and the resubmission, board staff is available to applicants to answer questions about ratings, clarify TRP feedback, and provide technical assistance regarding the revision and resubmission process. The applicant before you today did reach out to board staff during this time and met with board staff virtually to discuss and gain clarification regarding scoring and rationale. When the application packages are resubmitted, they go through a final evaluation by the review teams against the same criteria. And once again, these rubrics, which again include feedback, are provided to applicants. If an application is substantively complete, it automatically proceeds to the interview. The applicant before you today requested for their substantively incomplete application to proceed to the capacity interview. The TRP conducts a capacity interview with each applicant team. This opportunity is used to gain clarification on any areas of deficiency that still remain in the application, and also to assess the capacity of the applicant team. To do this, the TRP asks questions about the application itself, providing the applicant the opportunity to verbally address concerns the TRP may still have after the review of the paper application, whether in areas that met the standard or did not. These questions may also relate to concerns the TRP has about the viability or sustainability of the applicant's plan. Additionally, the TRP may ask scenario-based questions to understand the capacity of the team and its ability to work through situations or problems that may arise with the plans described in the application. After these interviews, the TRP confers to determine whether to provide the board a recommendation to approve or deny each application package. The TRP uses information from the paper application and the capacity interview to make this recommendation. Finally, the team leads with input from their additional team members, write the recommendation reports using the information gathered from the application package, rubrics, and capacity interview. These reports are included in the board materials you have before you today. As outlined, the new charter application process is one that is both rigorous and lengthy, with many levels of review conducted by qualified individuals. Before we move to this year's application, do any board members have any questions or comments about the process as described? No? Arizona for Online Instruction, Inc. has submitted a new charter application package to open Arizona Career Connections Academy, providing an AOI serving grades K-12 as a statewide fully online program. Summary information about the applicant's proposed career-focused program, its target population, and its operational plans was included in the board materials for your consideration. The applicant intends to contract with an education service provider, Pearson, that currently contracts with another online school in the board's portfolio. Additional information about the performance of the ESP is included in Appendix C of the board materials. The TRP evaluated the application package and determined that the revised application package does not meet the minimum scoring requirements set by the board for the current application cycle because the applicant's educational plan scored 91.92%, the operational plan scored 94.67%, and the business plan scored 80.85%. The revised AOI package submitted by the applicant was reviewed by Rio Salado Community College and met the required AOI criteria for approval. After receiving the final scoring rubric, the applicant requested to proceed to the capacity interview. Based on the responses and additional information provided by the applicant at the capacity interview, the TRP recommends that the application package for the applicant be approved to operate grades 6 through 12. Further information about the TRP's rationale for this recommendation was included in the board materials and specifically in Appendix A, the recommendation report. And I am available for questions if you have them.
You, Shannon. So I would just like to clarify. So the TRP is recommending approval.
Correct. They are recommending approval for grades 6 through 12 initially, with the option to expand once the school is established.
With that qualifier. Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? Are there questions from the board?
President Close, just a quick question. So the TRP, no, I got the wrong file here. Didn't meet the qualifications, but then they recommended approval for grades 6 through 12. Did they reevaluate and then was the plan better, or is it?
It did go through a revision process and the scores increased from the initial to the resubmission of the application. The TRP felt that the K-5 program was not super well defined. In the recommendation report, the TRP recommendation report stated the application contains little information regarding the implementation of the K-5 program and how the career focus of the proposed program of instruction will be implemented with the elementary students. They went on to say, when asked during the capacity interview about the K-5 curriculum, the ESP representative indicated that K-5 is traditional and a culture will be developed that will encourage students to stay for 6th through 12th grade.
If I may, Member Swanson, I think what your question is asking is, did their scores improve beyond the 90 percentile? So the scores after the final rubric is issued are not able to move. The board is tasked with considering the rubric and the scoring, as well as the capacity interview and any information the applicant may provide you today as they determine their approval. The TRP felt that the components that led them to give those lower scores in the rubric itself and resulted in those percentages were effectively answered in the capacity interview, and they felt that the applicant in that interview showed sufficient capacity to show they have the ability to open and operate a school. But as Shannon stated, they felt that that was demonstrated for grades 6 through 12, not for grades K through 12. Does that answer your question, Member Swanson? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the board for Shannon? If not, is there a representative from the charter applicant? Morning.
Good morning, President Close and Superintendent Designee Miller and everyone on the board. So nice to meet you. Pardon me, I have bad allergies and I'm super nervous. My name is Dr. Danielle Thompson. There are a few other board members on. I'm the board chairperson. We have Gabriel and Christine on as well. I don't know if you can see them here. Not. And we have a few others. Lorna is with us online with our partner at Pearson, as well as Stacy Booty, who's here to help with any questions. So if it's okay, just to give you a little background about all of us, I've been in education forever, all over 20 years, but I've spent the last decade really in the career focus space, which is what really excited me about this school. And it's been something we've been thinking about for a really, really long time. I've worked in both the private sector education at both the high school level and post-secondary, as well as junior high and in the public sector. Worked in the CTE space, kind of creating those pathways, but working most recently with both industry and university and college partners to ensure that everything's lining up. Right? That people can do both things, that if students in high schools, they can go straight to work, they can go to work in college, they can do a little bit of both at the same time with these articulation agreements. And so that makes a lot of sense of why the K-12 or the 6 through 12 is more defined. That's a space that's really been more robust. And to Superintendent Horn's message, the place for innovation and where lots of people are going. As we kind of go through and answer your questions, we have other people on our board that I'd like to introduce you to that really kind of specialize in that K-5 space. And then I have an opening statement, if that's okay with you as well. So Christine, if you're on, if you wouldn't mind giving a little bit about your background, which I think speaks to those kind of earlier questions.
Sure. Thank you so much. Can you just give me a thumbs up in the room if you can hear me okay? I work remotely and this is how we present. Thanks, Carlos. I see you on camera, so that helps me. My name is Christine Smith, and I started my career as an ESL teacher in K-12 schools and Chicago public schools specifically. And I spent the first 20 years of my career in various roles in K-12 education, from an ESL teacher, adult education teacher, school principal, to director for teaching and learning. And I have spent the last several years of my career partnering specifically with mission-driven organizations who seek to make sustainable impact on the people to which they served. In fact, my whole doctoral research and the career that I now work in focuses specifically in that level of support, for which I've kind of dedicated myself to really focusing on needs-based English instruction to immigrants and refugees, and providing them with the tools they need to advocate for themselves and their families to improve economic outcomes. And when I was approached to join the board several years ago for Arizona Career Connections, it just took me like a hot moment to say yes for being a part of that opportunity. I mean, what teacher doesn't want to be a part of an opportunity of starting a school, but also providing back this gift to learners, and also giving back to the state that I now call home, and into a field that I have dedicated my life work to serving. I'm really excited specifically for the foundation and focus of the school. I know firsthand how CTE can impact learners' lives. CTE really encompasses a wide range of activities intended to kind of simultaneously provide students with the skills of in-demand things that are needed for our labor market, while really helping them prepare for post-secondary careers in technical fields. Activities include not just only specific career-oriented careers that we've talked about, but also internships, apprenticeships, and in-school programs designed really to foster readiness. Presently, I work for employers who are looking to provide education as a benefit across the United States. And right now, US employers are facing historic levels of staffing shortages and labor turnover. In fact, with these tightening labor markets in the US, has 2 jobs available for every 1 person who is unemployed, especially in essential sectors like healthcare, manufacturing, and hospitality. All areas of focus that we're exploring within the Arizona Career Connections Academy. You know, education is our greatest opportunity. It's why you do what you do, to give an irrevocable gift to that next generation. And your consideration in the approval of the Arizona Career Connections Academy application is one I encourage you to make. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this, and also the opportunity to share my love for what I do and for students in Arizona. Gabriel, I think you wanted to kind of say some things as well.
Good morning. Sorry, I had to put it on unmute so you guys could hear me. No, I just want to reiterate the fact that this school is different. The school focuses on career readiness. And I was really passionate about a charter school that was different. I was always passionate as well as about our immunocompromised populations, those who need an online platform and aren't provided one. When schools were demanding students to return back, and we had a population that was afraid to come back due to the COVID situation, that pandemic that we had, I didn't know how to answer that question to those parents and those learners. Being a previous principal, we'd always try to find solutions for parents so we can keep their students engaged in the classroom and keep our ADM where it needs to be so we can keep our schools open. But that was the focus. It wasn't the focus on the immunocompromised or people who wanted and was familiar and comfortable with an online platform. It was bringing kids back into the classroom. That was the major push. So I tried to find an answer to that population, and I couldn't find one. But then I found one with this opportunity to bring an online platform for the immunocompromised and an online platform for those who are comfortable with online and those with a more career focused. Some students aren't academic and aren't planning to continue their academic careers post high school, but they do plan to contribute in other ways in the workforce. So what better way than create this online platform for those who are career focused and given an opportunity to focus on what they want to do post high school. So when I saw this opportunity, like Christina, I was encouraged, and we're in education to provide this service to Arizona students, and this was the best way to do it that I found via online platform and career readiness. So I'm really excited about this school. I'm really excited about the starting off with the 6 through 12 concept and bringing in the K through 5 concept later on, maybe in year 3 or more, depending on how ready the school is to incorporate K through 5. But that's all I have. And I just wanted to say thank you again for this opportunity to bring our school to your attention for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. And also Gabriel and Christine, they're not bragging on themselves as much as I would. I think they should. Gabriel's also a serving member of the military. And so it was really important for us, as Christine was saying as well, working with industry, school leadership, government, and we're looking to expand the board if approved as well. And so those 3 legs of the stool, right, are what all students need kind of going into their futures. And so we're trying to bring that to the board with levels of expertise as well as who we're partnering with. So see if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself a bit and your background.
Sure. My name is Stacy Booty. I just like you, education has been a passion of mine. I started out in the Glendale Elementary School District at William C. Jack as a first grade teacher. I then moved to online instruction. So I I got a job as a part-time teacher at Arizona Connections Academy and then held various roles, interventionist, 504 coordinator, and then eventually over a decade moved up to the role of assistant principal. I've since moved as an academic success partner to Pearson Virtual Schools, and I'm happy to be here today. I truly believe in Connections Academy schools, and I also support Arizona Connections Academy.
Well, thank you for bearing with us and our credentials and why we're here. We thought it would be important as you're kind of considering our school for approval for you to know that we have a deep history in Arizona in education and in this area specifically. And so it's really near and dear to us. It wasn't all about Pearson, if that was, although Pearson is a fantastic partner and part of the big reason why we wanted to go with them for things like the partnership with Home Depot that you can give to the students. And I know the Arizona Corporation Commission was very generous to give us a letter of support as well, knowing the importance going into industry of this type of skill-based learning. So if you bear with me one more minute for just an opening statement, then any questions, unless you'd like to jump just to questions. Arizona Career Connections Academy will allow great opportunities for Arizona students, enabling them to obtain certificates so they are immediately eligible for employment or better prepared for post-high school education. The school will offer a program designed to increase employment opportunities and or college readiness. And that's a really important piece. It's not an either or, it's an and or, and that working together to really create the most opportunity for students in their futures is what our goals are. Students will be able to explore fields such as IT and health professions. We're excited about the partnership with Pearson, as it will include many national partnerships such as the Home Depot, Path to Pro, and Coursera, where students can achieve tri-credits. This is another really important piece of what we'd like to do, is not only do you get your high school diploma, but certificates in specialized field and college credit. So it's that tri-credit approach that we're really, really excited about. And as our application describes, the plan is to open with the 6 through 12 to ensure the school is operating smoothly. We know that's the core, right? That's the driving piece that then we need to scaffold from K5 up. And so we're not looking to stand the K5 up until year 3. The ask is for an approval, so we don't have to kind of come back for approval, but we are not looking to actually implement that until we have the other set and ready. So it is with careful planning and consideration to start to move into the K5 space after year 3. So the foundation for a strong college and career readiness program is established by exposing younger students to language and creating experiences around 21st century skills, such that this language and these experiences become part of the fabric of the school culture, helping children in elementary school begin to understand how their interests and individual strengths might become part of their future plans is an integral part of any good future focused school. And so that's that piece. And I know, Stacy, if you'd like to speak a little bit more to that specifically, is really important for us, right? And especially as you're hearing in the news, AI, all the new technologies coming, really understanding yourself, knowing your interests and how you can best apply it is something that we're really hoping to do by year 3.
I think we can go to questions if there are specific questions about that, but.
So are you done with your presentation then?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe for Ms. Thompson or Ashley, 3 requests to speak, did they already speak? Or?
President Close, it's our understanding that the request to speak were just to clarify there's going to be others here to speak on behalf of this item with the applicant. So at this time, they've already asked who they want to speak. So we're okay.
Okay. So
and they reserve the right to jump up and answer questions if need be, because they're behind me.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you all. Any questions from the board?
I have a couple questions. So I was taking notes while you were talking. First of all, I super commend you on the career readiness. That's incredibly important, and the dual college career, just planning for post-secondary outcomes regardless of what the choice is. I think that's great. I do want to kind of hone in a little bit more on K-5 because that seems to be a major concern, not only for the TRP, but sorry to speak for board members, but also for the board. It doesn't seem like it's terribly fleshed out. And so the request for a K-12 straight out the gate is, we just want some more information, I think, about what that looks like as far as career opportunities being embedded in K-5, how K-5 students are going to be served on an online. I've met them. They are lovely individuals that do a squirrel approach when things happen. So it's making sure that we have the support, what that looks like. And then looking at 612, I have questions about that as well, but let's focus on K-5 right now.
I can give a little bit of information about K-5. I actually, in working at ACA, I started out as a teacher of 1st through 5th graders. So I completely understand. I have children myself that it can be difficult to teach them in an online environment. We also saw this through COVID. It can be very difficult to do. Arizona Connections Academy has been around for 20 years. So I would say we do it well. There are very specific things that we implement for students in K-5, not only the asynchronous instruction that they work on at home with a dedicated learning coach, which could be their caretaker, but may not be. It could be someone else in the family or someone that they hire. And then we embed synchronous instruction throughout the learning day for students in K through 5. So for example, we would have 90-minute reading blocks, and those could be split into 15-minute intervals for kindergartners, 30 and 15-minute intervals. We have a lot of different ways that we can divide that synchronous instruction up. I would say for K-5, I know that in the capacity interview, we said that this would really be a traditional setting, but what I would say as far as career and college readiness is that we are teaching these students 21st century skills. We are listening to their interests and their hobbies, and we're preparing them so by 6th grade, they're ready for that career portal pathway. So we're teaching them skills like media and information literacy. We're teaching students to be flexible, to be accountable, and to be adaptable. We're teaching them through portfolios how to communicate well. And then we're also teaching them how to collaborate. And these are done through different portfolio assignments in that synchronous instruction and through other elements of a K-5 program.
We have another question. Don't go away.
Okay.
So when you're talking about the caregiver or the dedicated instructional coach at home, do you go through an interview process? What does that look like to ensure that you have that support at home? Because it can be quite challenging.
Yes, definitely. So this is all outlined in the enrollment process. We also have several informational sessions that learning coaches can go through and that parents can go through before enrolling their child in any Connections Academy school. So they're very aware prior to enrolling their child what this entails. But we also have a very specific learning coach series and sessions where learning coaches can come together across Connections Academy schools and share resources and learn what this role entails. And we know it's a learning process. So just as you have to learn to be a virtual teacher, you have to learn how to be a learning coach at home as well. All students have a dedicated homeroom teacher. Students in grades 6 through 12, it's either a homeroom model or an advisory model, just like in a physical school. And those homeroom teachers, they have contacts with the students and families every 2 weeks. For students who struggle more, they're weekly contacts, or it could be more than that. So there are clear items set in place, not only for us to teach a learning coach how to be a learning coach, but also so that they're well informed before enrolling their child in the school.
Just to clarify, that goes for K-5 as well, or that's for 6-12?
K through 12.
Okay.
Can I follow up on that?
Yes, please.
I'm just going to follow up on the
Sure.
learning coach. Just having been involved with education for a long time.
Yep.
One of the first things I learned is if we could legislate parental involvement, we wouldn't have any problems in our schools.
Right.
So, and we can't do that obviously, but if you had, how do you rate this program And why isn't everybody doing something like this?
Right.
And because it seems like it's very important. It's, it's very much highlighted in all your materials.
Yes.
I'm just curious I'm all for it, but I also don't want the work of educating the kids put off on people that aren't educators.
Right. Correct. I would say as far as ratings, so ACA, which we also support as Pearson Virtual Schools, has had a B rating 2 years in a row. So we know that this model works and we believe in this model. The learning coach supports the student in the asynchronous instruction at home. So these are the lesson modules that the student goes through. But at ACCA, we would have only certified teachers as well as certified administrators, which support the students in the home setting. So that's through the synchronous instruction. Sorry, I'm going to raise this a little bit. That's through the synchronous instruction, which is on a daily basis. And again, the synchronous instruction might be more in K-5 and 6-8 than it is in 9-12. It just really depends on student need. I would say one of the unique things about an online school as well is that you can target students. You have more communication with the family at home just based on the setting of the school or how the school is set up. But you can also target students individually in small groups outside of the whole group setting. And that's one of the unique things. And it's very helpful. It's almost like a full school MTSS program or system.
Okay. While we're talking about the curriculum and asynchronous instruction, what does is there career, and I'm looking at K-5 still, I'm still focused on K-5 right now. What kind of career curriculum is embedded in the general curriculum? What does that look like? I know you said 21st century skills, and I think that's great, but it sounds like there's a bit of a jump from K-5 into 6, almost maybe that 5 to 6 jump. And I think that kind of just speaking from experience, there's already a challenge from going from elementary school to middle school anyway. And I know that the thought is to keep them in the school. I do the same thing at my school. We're a K-12 as well. And they go from 5th grade to 6th grade. It's like, woof, what happened? And they're the same kids that we saw 2 months ago in 5th grade. So what does that look like as far as the career portion that's embedded in K-5 to allow them to move forward in the career expectations that you have for 6-12?
Okay. So as far as the curriculum, it is truly a traditional curriculum. So there is not career embedded in the curriculum itself, but as I mentioned before, students in grades K through 5 have a lot more synchronous instruction. And this is where we build those 21st century skills. So they're prepared to enter that workforce place readiness and career development when they hit 6th grade. When they hit 6th grade, within the platform, we have a career page for them where they can earn skill badges. They're able to review what kind of workforce skills they would like, as well as career pathways. So it's about the synchronous instruction. It's about the relationship between the teacher and the student in grades K through 5. We know that that's ultimately what's important. It's building that relationship, it's building that trust, and it's teaching those 21st century workforce skills starting in kindergarten.
President Close, I have a question. Can you talk a little bit about your target population? How are you going to market this, and who are you hoping to enroll, basically?
Well, really, it's open to all students in Arizona, and so
I guess I'm sorry. I think what I'm trying to find out is if you're looking at more career paths, and I understand that you're doing the dual career in college credit, but it seems more like an alternate school approach that's moving on to college credit. So are you looking at populations? What populations are you looking to serve?
That's a great question. It actually did come up in the technical review as well, because I think historically that had been the case, right? You did kind of trade school or university. Mm-hmm. And what we found is that that's really kind of shifting quite a bit. And so things, especially IT, healthcare, they're all kind of working in that skill-based career space. And so you no longer really have those types of divides in a skill-based curriculum. And so that's why it's not an alternative school, or why we wouldn't be looking at people maybe that are just struggling. Although that could be we could offer a great space, right? To revitalize a student that maybe hadn't found, wasn't doing as well in school as they could. They see now more of a benefit. This is why you are learning this. This is why this algebra class matters, or this is if you want to code, or this is why your music class might matter, or why good coders are also good musicians, or they're good with logic or good with math, or bringing in that career base now when you've kind of opened up these other industries that are really looking for that. And in talking to industry and having developed multiple apprenticeship programs that drive both ways from college and universities and direct to work lines, when there's a lot of frustration with the post-secondary that hasn't kept pace. So then we gone in retroactively, then worked with the colleges to get them into more of a career space. And you see that more and more advertised, right? And so that's really changed quite a bit around who our demographic might be.
Thank you. That's very
That-
helpful. Yeah.
No, that's, yep.
Did you want to add something?
No.
I'm a little confused because reading the summary, I was actually impressed by the statement to empower non-traditional students. So I want to kind of piggyback onto that. Is that a demographic that is still a focus, or?
Yes, non-traditional students would still be a focus. What we found is, and you know this, not every school works for every child, just as online instruction doesn't work for every child. Students who we see that tend to come to our schools, they've struggled in that traditional school setting. They've struggled in the physical school setting. We have different subgroups of students who have been bullied, students in rural populations who just don't have school choice. What we've seen since COVID is students attend whose schools have shut down in those rural cities, and they need opportunities, and the parents just don't have the resources to drive them to the next town to attend school. So we do see a lot of non-traditional students. We have dancers or traveling sports members who need an online option. We have immunocompromised students or students who are hospital bound. We also have students who are state wards of the state or foster children who attend Connections Academy schools.
I appreciate that clarification.
Yeah, I apologize. They're absolutely a benefit to non-traditional students, but not specific.
I think hopefully I'm not speaking for you, but I thought that might be something you were trying to get at there. Thanks, Doctor.
So kind of piggybacking on that, what do the services look like for ESS students? Especially career bound ESS students.
Okay. So the gifted exceptional students, or can you?
ESS, special education, generally speaking,
okay,
whether it's
special
gifted and
population.
talented or, yeah.
Special population
Yep.
students. So special population students, honestly, they're really treated in the same lens that you would see in a physical school. And I know that this is a question that came up too in the capacity interview. So a couple different things. When a child enters the school with an IEP, we provide FAPE. We follow and abide by all federal and state regulations. We also have the 45-day screening form in an online school, and we also have a robust child find process. As far as evaluations for students, these are typically done in person. Specialized services are provided online or virtually in most cases, if that's what the team decides. It's all about that team decision, especially for students who have that IEP. For gifted students, we do have honors courses, AP courses to choose from, but this is the unique item about the K-8 program as well. We can have cohorts of gifted students that are involved in different things like literacy study groups, or, the exceptional students in these science courses who would do additional lab activities and just different things like that. Same for Section 504 students. We abide by all of the accommodations that are outlined in their plan.
How about career services and the transition portion of the IEP?
Yes. So the career services and the transition. So we hold transition meetings and we invite all members of the team who need to be at those transition meetings. I think this is why when starting up the school, a special education director will be hired right away who has the expertise and the knowledge in that area. And that individual, just like all individuals at ACCA, will be fully certified.
Are you partnering with anybody that specifically works with students that have special needs to help them get positions? Only reason I ask this question is I have 4 at home and one is major struggling and he's quite intelligent, but social skills are bad.
Yeah.
So just saying this because if you have students that are coming in that are very smart, might appear as though they're gifted, social skills are significantly lacking, career is not happening. So they need that support there. What does that look like if you're focused on career? What does that look like for that population?
So in high school, we do have career coaching. So they could be matched with a career coach, which will provide them with that support that they need to make that transition from secondary to post-secondary. I think this is where those apprenticeships come into play as well. And so we would target that for students. And also that would be something that the special education team would clearly discuss. We do provide those social skills services just like you would in a physical school, but really the career coaching is an element that we don't see at high schools across Arizona, which allows them and the apprenticeship, which gives them those skills they need to transition into the workforce.
Sorry, one more. I have so many questions. This is fascinating, by the way. I'm sorry. It's fascinating. I really am super interested. So when I ask these questions, it's not like boom, boom, boom. I know I come across that way because I'm a little bit me, but I don't mean it that way. I just really find it interesting. What you're trying to do is awesome.
Yeah.
So please understand when I'm asking these questions, I think it's fantastic, but I'm just like, and another thing, because I'm really excited. Okay. So as far as internships and mentorships go, what does that look like? Is there I know you said you have coaches there, but do the coaches work with the students in the setting? Is there some personal interaction? Is it all through a screen?
Yep.
That kind of stuff.
Yes, those are great questions. We actually have Lorna Bryant online who's managing all of the career items. So I think she can respond to this.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for letting me pop in here. I was actually trying to find my camera when we were talking about the students and the transition work. I just want to kind of lean into that a little bit. It is also near and dear to my heart. One of the reasons that I came into work in the career space was because my specialization was around twice exceptional students. So recognizing that there are these opportunities we need to provide for students who may be identified as gifted, but might also have some of the challenges that come with having a special need. When you're talking about partnerships, I just want to lean into that a little bit. We have been having some conversations with Project Search. I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with that organization, but really are focused on working with students in high school and then directly out of high school to identify employment opportunities, but also to provide some of that job coaching and that preparation so that they can help them with some of those social skills as they transition into a workforce while they're also learning the technical skills that they need to do the job. That is also where we thought about the role of the career coach. That career coach is working with students not only to make sure that they find the right pathway for them based on their interests and their skills from an academic or a technical perspective, but that when we are connecting them with an internship or a mentorship or an apprenticeship, it's also through that lens of not every student comes with the same level of readiness, maybe socially, emotionally, behaviorally, or whatever that may look like. And so making sure that the career coach is working directly with those businesses, those industry partners, and those associations to prepare an experience for these young people that is appropriate to their level of development and their particular need. So that is that piece of it. So yes, directly connecting with the partners that are providing these ships versus simply introducing young people and then sort of leaving them to their own devices. That will be a critical part of supporting the students in the program.
That sounds lovely. One last question, and then I will turn off my mic and hopefully not ask any more questions. Generally speaking, what challenges do you foresee coming up, and what thoughts do you have or ways to navigate those challenges just looking forward, particularly with K-5, because that's the one that's not, I don't feel that that's the one that's as flushed out following your mission as 612. 612 sounds awesome. K-5, it's traditional, but then you're working with non-traditional kids. And so that's what challenges do you see, and how are you going to flush those challenges out, whether it's right away or in the next couple of years, like you had been talking about before?
I think it's the same challenges as any school who opens, right? I think first of all, the right people have to be hired because, they are the experts and they are the ones who will be working at the school and working closely or directly with the board. I think the challenges that I foresee, with K-5, it is always setting up those PLCs, a robust response to intervention system. That all takes time, and teachers come in, with varying levels of knowledge of that. As a Connections Academy school, we have a very robust PLC following solutions tree and a very robust RTI model that we expect. But it takes time to implement, and it takes time to be able to identify those kids who have those needs and put them in the right tiered intervention using the right research-based methods. So that's a challenge that I always see when starting new schools. I think another challenge that we see is it's just hiring certified and qualified teachers. I will tell you, it's been a struggle this year across the Connections Academy schools that I support. But there are many people who want to try this online instruction approach and truly believe in it. And those are usually the candidates that we attract. So those are the top two that I see as probably being some of the challenges. But we've overcome these challenges, and ACA can be used as a model for that robust K-5 program.
Good. That's good.
I said I would be quiet.
No, this is fascinating, I think, all around. So, thank you. Any other questions from the board?
President Close. So you referenced ACA a lot, and they're a B school, but they're also, and I can't find the detail because I just started looking for it, but they're also not doing very well overall from their framework. Is that accurate? And is ACA solely on the Pearson platform?
Yes.
Yes, and as a board, we wanted Pearson one with the model, right? Because they've already been working with and we're well ahead and advanced in the model. But as an independent board, we also have oversight to make sure everything is happening. We've started the process. If approved, we have an attorney that we're hiring to make sure that everything's the way it needs to be. And it's super exciting because Pearson has everything for us that we've requested and way more.
To your question, Member Swanson, the ACA charter meets financially and operationally. Under the current framework, it is rated as a does not meet or a falls far below due to the school improvement metric. It is important to note that the board recently voted to remove the school improvement metric because it's not a fair metric to generally to AOIs and alt schools. So I would probably set that aside and look at the B letter grade as your kind of deciding factor there.
And ACCA is not an alt school, is it?
No.
But that's a part of your target demographic.
Yes, the non-traditional student is part of the demographic, but it is not considered an alternative school.
If we, there's obviously been a lot of questions about the K-5. I have questions about really K-8, but But if we're talking about that, and how would we approach ADM in your opinion if this board were so inclined to just approve you for 6 through 12? Because it goes, I think 300, 500, 1100.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think if only 6 through 12 was approved, I think that we would see a lot of middle schoolers and high schoolers enrolling. So I don't think we're necessarily concerned about that. But I do know if K-5 is added on now, we aren't planning on opening it in year 1. So year 1 would be 6 through 10. Year 2 would be 6 through 12. And then year 3, we would establish K through 5. And that's part of the reason for that too, is ensuring the funding is there for staffing and that we can get those qualified or certified teachers for K-5 at that time. But our focus is getting the career component stood up prior to adding in K through 5.
Thank you.
Are there, Member Foster?
Kind of want to go back to, I don't know, one of the questions where he talked about getting the parents and the teachers and that. What wraparound services are being considered or included and to support those students who just aren't transitioning well to the online?
Yeah, so I should take a step back, and in the platform, we have a variety of metrics that can be used. I mean, that's one of the great things about online schools. You have in your face real-time metrics. So we have an escalation system at the school that tracks 3 major areas. And one area is attendance, which, the parents input attendance. So you have to take that with a grain of salt sometimes. But the second area is participation. So are the students attending live lesson sessions? And then are they completing their lessons as they should be on a day-to-day basis to remain on track? And then the third area of escalation that we review, and this is really on a daily basis, this is part of the responsibilities of the homeroom teacher, is performance. I will say, being an online school, in a typical physical school, you see like an MTSS system really focused on academics. And as an online school, the same occurs. We have an MTSS system really focused on academics. But we also have a strong MTSS system that's focused on making sure that students are participating daily and doing what they need to be a successful student in an online environment. One of the AOI statutes is that if a student is academically declining in an online setting, there will be a conference to confer whether or not this is an appropriate school for them. So that does happen at ACA, and we want to ensure that students are learning. Our goal is to get them in the door, but not to keep them if this is a school that is not working well for them.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? If there are none, are we ready for a motion?
We are. Before I make a motion, though, I just want to say thank you so much. That was a lot for you. So thank you. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. Here we go. Okay. This is Jessica, by the way, in case anyone was unclear. Based on the review of contents of the portfolio provided by Arizona for Online Instruction, Inc., and the information provided by representatives of Arizona for Online Instruction, Inc. during consideration, and given it is within the discretion of the board to approve or deny a charter, I move to approve the application package and grant a charter to Arizona for Online Instruction, Inc. to establish the school Arizona Career Connections Academy to serve grades 6 through 12, specifically grades 6 through 10, and an enrollment cap of 300 in year 1, 6 through 11 with an enrollment cap of 500 in year 2, and 6 through 12 with an enrollment cap of 1,100 in year 3 and beyond. The reason I'm recommending this is because I really want to see this take off. I want it to be super, super successful. And then I want us to reevaluate the K-5.
Thank you, Jessica. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Definitely a second.
Second by Dr. Crockett. Okay, let's go ahead and take the vote, please. Thank you.
Sorry, President Close, so is the discussion closed? on this motion?
No, you can make a comment.
Okay. I do have just a question about the ADM and that last year jump from 500 to 1100, adding 1 grade. And I understood what the applicant said. I just want to like I don't know, somebody's opinion on that. I'm
That was suggested language. Was there is that a recommendation from staff or was it just?
President Close, no, that is not a recommendation from staff. The board has full authority to be able to change that. So as of right now, the motion that is in front of you is for 612 and to go up to that full 1100 in year 3.
But for grades 6 through 12 only.
Correct.
Do you have a recommendation to do a different ADM?
I really don't. I just know it's a big jump and it was in their materials to have that as part of the K-12. And I want to see, sorry, I hope. Thank you. I want to see all this be successful. I want to see data. And 1100, that extra jump from 6 to 500, I don't know, we go to something different just so, we've got now that whole population in a smaller grade bandwidth. So I just don't know if it's relevant, and I'd let, anybody who has thought on as an educator on that.
I have a thought. I don't know if it's a good thought, but it's a thought. So the reason I said 1100 is I would like to see you come back to us before year 3 and propose K-5, and then we don't touch your ADM. That's what I would like to see happen. But we need to see some data and we need to see this be successful. And just a side note, because I'm very excited about this, I would strongly encourage when you're doing your K-5 to look at having people come in that are part of the career field that the students are interested in and doing some presentations and things like that. That would provide some more information for us to give us a better understanding of the career piece of it, because I think that's really what you're driving home. And that's what we didn't see for K-5. Does that make sense? So the reason I recommended 1100 is so that hopefully you come back to us beforehand, we see some really good stuff, and we don't have to worry about an ADM change at all. It's just looking at adding grades. Is that an okay thought to have?
Yes, President Close and Vice President Montiers, I just want to provide some clarification as process for that and make sure it's clear to all of you. First year schools do not receive a letter grade. So the school will not get a letter grade in year 1. They will get a letter grade in year 2 as long as they have the enough end count or a number of students that are being served. So they will get a letter grade in year 2, and based on timing, you will not get those letter grades until year 3. So the first time that they'll be able to come in front of the board is year 3.
Thank you. My guess is the school could bring us data about how they're doing if they're.
The board has set eligibility criteria for an expansion request, which a grade level addition would be. And that eligibility criteria requires that the school does have a letter grade. So even if they could bring you data under your approved requirements, they would not be eligible to come before you until they have that letter grade.
Okay. So I would say this, I'd be okay with the 1100, but when they come to us, they're not going to get more than 1100 for K through 12.
Just like.
Do I do anything else here?
I was just going to say, it's
Okay.
good to know that there was thoughtful consideration behind this.
I did actually put a little bit of thought into today.
And thank you for your comment, Member Swanson.
Absolutely.
Thank you for letting me
All right.
ask a question.
We've had a little more discussion there. We'll go ahead and move on to that's where it's supposed to happen. So, thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to the vote. Motion is
Motion is unchanged, right? Okay. Vice President Montiers,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Ms. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Just wanted to congratulate you. Jessica made it sound like it was a really
It's very exciting.
heavy, but it is exciting and a lot of work. And we wish you good luck. Thank you. Moving on to item J. This will be Andrea. Change in net assets used for financial framework.
President Close, Superintendent Designee Miller, and members of the board. The financial framework's adjusted net income measure looks at whether a charter holder is operating within its available resources. The charter holder's adjusted net income also serves as the starting point for determining performance on the lease adjusted debt service coverage ratio measure. Based on procedures in place when the initial framework was first implemented in 2012, board staff has considered the total change in net assets. Since implementing the current framework, board staff has talked with various individuals regarding the appropriateness of considering donor restrictions. The donor restrictions sections of charter holders' financial statements account for timing differences in when the revenue was recognized as required under accounting principles and when the related expenses occurred. As such, those who reached out indicated the framework should use the change in net assets without donor restrictions. This would remove the effects of timing, for which the charter holder likely does not have control over, and focus only on the current performance of the charter holder. At its November meeting, the subcommittee recommended the financial framework consider the charter holder's change in net assets without donor restrictions instead of the current practice of using the total change in net assets. The subcommittee further recommended the board implement this change for those charter holders that would be positively affected with board staff's review of the fiscal year 2023 audits. The subcommittee took this action for two reasons. First, to provide for the opportunity to solicit public comment from charter holders that the full board could consider at today's meeting. And second, if the change is approved by the full board, to allow board staff to gather data on how this change has impacted performance based on the fiscal year 23 audits. During the first opportunity for public comment, which closed on December 4th, the board did not receive any public comment on this on this proposed revision. Today's meeting provides a second opportunity for public comment under the board's procedures. I'm available for questions.
I'd just like to make a comment. I'm impressed by your ability to read off of that small screen there. Any questions from the board? Any comments?
I would piggyback on your comment that during this financial framework subcommittee work, Andrea has been absolutely amazing and admirable and impressive. So.
All right. If there are no comments, is there a motion?
Yes, this is Jessica. I move to adopt the revision recommended by the board's financial framework subcommittee to change the financial framework to consider the charter holder's change in net assets without donor restrictions instead of current practice of using the total change in net assets for the fiscal year 2023 audits, and to implement this change for those charter holders that would be positively affected. This change will not be implemented with the fiscal year 2023 audits for those charter holders that would be negatively affected. I further direct board staff to gather data on how this change impacted performance based on the fiscal year 2023 audits and to bring this information back to the board at a later date.
Thank you. There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Crockett. Go ahead and take the vote, please. Thank you.
Vice President Montier.
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Miller.
Aye.
Dr. Crockett.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Mr. Ruiz.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
President Close.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Before we get to item K, I just want to say or ask, we only had one new charter applicant this year. Is that a record for least number or?
In my tenure, this is the lowest number of applications we've ever received. We only received 5 total applications this year, 3 of which proceeded through admin review to the TRP and only 1 that chose to proceed to the agenda. Based on current communications from folks out in the world, I think we'll have more next year, but that will remain to be seen.
Not that I'm begging for it. I was just curious. So, again, to the applicant and your approval, congratulations. Thank you. Okay, item K.
I will make this pretty quick. I want to let you all know that our next board meeting is going to be on January 8th. And again, same hybrid, in-person and virtual. In addition to that, I did want to update you all on our committee of reference hearing that was conducted last week. We did go in front of the House and Senate for that committee of reference and did receive a recommendation with full support from that joint committee for a continuation of 10 years. So good news. And that is all I have to report.
Well, I like to just add on to that. I think the 10 years was generally typical for us, I believe. It's a little atypical for this current legislature. Is that correct? So it was a very good thing for us.
That is correct.
All right. If there's no other business, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Have a very good holiday.